What's up, guys? This is Jimmy with Hifly Fitness, and today I want to talk to you about how and why you should stop maxing out on your lifts. So when you're starting out as an athlete, as a strength athlete, as a powerlifter, as a bodybuilder, soccer player, or basketball player, you don't necessarily have a true 1 rep max for any of your lifts, because every single time that you go to the gym, you're increasing your 1 rep max just because you're stimulating the muscle group that you're focusing on. So if you're squatting, the squat will increase simply by squatting more. You don't need any kind of special program such as 5-3-1 to increase your 1 rep max. All you need to do is go to the gym, squat 3 times a week, 2 times a week, and add weight to the bar every time you go to the gym. Do that same thing for months on end. Your 1 rep max will increase significantly greater than if you start 5-3-1. I know I'm targeting 5-3-1 a lot, but that's just some people's go-to program for novice athletes. It's so infuriating, but that's another topic. Now, on the topic of maxing out, so once you start to make progress, people always want to test their 1 rep maxes. And why is this a problem? Well, once you start training closer to your 1 rep max, you're increasing your potential for injury. So since you're still a beginner, you're likely the motor patterns that you have learned and accumulated over time to squat, bench, press, and deadlift, or row, or military press, are not that ingrained. They're not necessarily the best movement pattern that you can possibly have. That is because you haven't trained for longer than a year. You're still learning the movement regardless of how you feel about it. So once you start increasing your intensity closer to your 1 rep max that you don't actually have, it's not a static number, I should say. Once you start training closer to your 1 rep max, you're increasing your risk of injury due to the fact that your form is not necessarily the greatest. So you have some leeway at your 5 rep max because the intensity isn't that high. So you're still learning the movement and you're still ingraining it, and so your tendons, your joints, your connective tissue, and even your muscles are not going to be significantly damaged, even if you have some sort of tweak in the movement. But once you start testing your maxes when you're still a beginner, you're pushing your muscles, your tendons, your connective tissue to a point where they've never been pushed before, and you probably have fairly inefficient form, a relatively inefficient form, to test your 1 rep max. So I have a few clients that I have, and they don't always like to listen to me. So not that anybody should totally listen to one person or another, but I tell them don't perform your 1 rep maxes until you're competing. Well, they didn't like that, so they decided to test their 1 rep max on the bench press, the squat, and the deadlift randomly during their regular training week. So not only were they lacking recovery, their joints, the tendons, their muscles weren't fully recovered, but they went ahead and tested them to their fully maximum strength. So they tested everything. What happened was one of them strained their pec, another one of them hurt their back, and I don't know what the exact diagnosis was because it's very difficult to diagnose a back injury, but the point is they both got injured, and all they did was something silly like testing a 1 rep max. You wouldn't think of it that much as an issue, but like I said, you don't need to test your 1 rep max. If your 5 rep max is increasing, so is your 1 rep max. You don't need to test it. There's no reason to test it other than to fuel your ego in the gym, to tell people, oh, I can squat 400 pounds, I can bench 3 plates. You don't need to be telling people that, because that's when you get injured. Yeah, you may have benched 315 once and then you got injured. That's cool, but now you're injured and now you have to work all the way back up to get that strength back. And it's really psychologically detrimental and physically detrimental. You can't do much. You have to work around your injury. You have to just do so much to get back to that level. So there's no point. Just keep on focusing on your 5 rep max or maybe your 3 rep max. But unless your coach or unless your trainer is instructing you to test your 1 rep max and you're fully recovered and you're ready and you know your form is good enough to do that, there's no need to do that during the middle of your training cycle. Just continue to progress at whatever you're doing. Continue with your program. Don't test your maxes until you're going to compete, where if you do get injured, so be it, but you're also going to get you're going to increase your total, and it's just going to be a part of your training cycle in the next off season. I don't want you to get injured in your competition, but if you're going to get injured, wait until you compete. Wait until it matters and you can sacrifice a little bit of leeway after your competition to recover and get all your strength back, okay? This is Jimmy with Hifly Fitness. I encourage you to rise from within.